All right, shalom, shalom. Call halayim le Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, better known as Great Millstone, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David. I'm your brother Matazabath, and this is going to be a lesson entitled M0TB Update Evidence Proving It's the R.F.I.D hip. Now, if you can see the screen, I have here a video from a very great source, which they go into a lot of great detail dealing with biblical prophecy. But nevertheless, the YouTube handle is redacted, and it's by Clayton Morris and his wife, Natalie Morris. All right. And the topic here is Hang On, Klaus Schwab is getting away with this. All right, redacted with Natalie and Clayton Morris. And I also have a few other clips lined up here. All right, that I wanted to showcase to the brotherhood and a few sincere Akwath listening and learning. Now, before we get into that, Shalom, brother Nakath, Yahweh Shem Shabbarakatah to you and your household. Just a quick disclaimer of copyright. All right, under the Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. All right, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 17 or Salakia 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to play Clayton's clip here. Now, this goes for about 21 and 30 seconds. All right, 21 minutes and 30 seconds. I want to get through the whole video because there's a lot to unpack and there's a lot of meat, all right, to get out of what they discuss going into end time prophecy, especially dealing with the M0TB, which is the R.F.I.D hip. So what I'm going to do is, as I play the video, I will interject in between different segments within this video just to try to hit a couple of points. All right, maybe get a few precepts to back up what we are dealing with here within this video. And then I also may have to swap and go to other videos to back up the information that's being brought out within this particular video that we're viewing on YouTube. All right. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And Lord's will, you can hear the audio.
Here's a question. Would you let someone implant a microchip into your hand if you would receive $2,000 a month in return for getting a chip put in your hand? You heard me right. We'll give you universal basic income, basically 2,000 euros, $2,000 a month, if you allow us to put a microchip in your hand. That's exactly what's about to happen as part of the rollout of the central bank digital currencies. That's a carrot for them to rope you into this mess. We'll get to that part of the story in a minute, the chip implantation process, not the corn chip, as Dan said in our chat, but a actual metallic tracking chip. But a new report just published this week by the Bank for International Settlements explains how our new digital money system is about to work. We've been warning you that this was coming for a long time on this show. Also, we weren't the only ones predicting this. It was predicted in a little book. You might have heard of it, called the Bible.
All right. So just to quickly interject, notice he said it has been predicted in a little book. You may have heard of it, called the Bible. All right. Now, why do you think he says that? Because really, starting with the servants, the prophets, beginning with the apostles, the bishops, the elders on down, mainly from Great Millstone, they were the ones that first taught it. And it wasn't until 2007 when our beloved apostles and bishops and elders came on the scene on YouTube to spread the good news, reaching for the elect of Israel, all right, using the internet, mainly using YouTube. And when they came back on, when they came on the scene around 2007, that's when this ministry started to pick up. All right. And the word started to go out. And now fast forward, okay, we are here in 2024, and everything that was prophesied, everything that was taught to us, getting the understanding, we are now seeing these things being played out in real time. Okay. So let's continue.
The mark of the beast. For one thing, this is how this new system would operate. According to them, the Bank for International Settlements, the new reserve currency, forget the dollar as you know it, basically. This will be the new reserve currency, which is how they want to label it and how they are labeling it. This would be used to settle all transactions. As everyone moves away from the US dollar right now, this seems like perfect timing to be moving to this new system. So are they purposefully torpedoing the US dollar in preparation for a global new reserve currency? One might wonder, right? We don't believe in conspiracy theories around here, but you have to wonder. It could include the confiscation of all property, physical property. By assigning it, every item would receive a real world. Every real world item would receive its own unique digital token.
Now, remember the start of, or right around mid 2020, when the so-called pandemic entered in, it was Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum Committee who went on to say that you will own nothing and will be happy, and that you will pretty much be tracked. All right. He spoke about having a carbon footprint. He spoke about uh, instituting a C-hip within the human body. He also spoke about things pertaining to linking humans, all right, to AI, all right, calling them transhumanism. Okay. So I just want you to pay very close attention and keep all of these things in mind, all right, because it's going to it's going to be a very bumpy ride, man. We're going to get a lot into this. There's a lot of meat to cover, all right?
So what do you guys think about this, right? This idea that they could, I'm not saying they're going to, but your car, your house, all of these sort of physical items that need a token process, you have to get them digitally tokenized in order for you to claim ownership of these items. No more selling cars without a digital token, right? No black market of selling cars. They all have to be tokenized. They all have to have a digital tracking ID to know exactly who owns them through this, what they call this transparent process.
So it's like a blockchain for the world.
Right. I mean, it would be on the blockchain, right? Everything would be, everyone would be given a tokenized digital ID. And I'll explain more about exactly the tokenization process in a moment. But basically, the idea that if you don't comply with this, then we're going to take your property and tokenize it ourselves is the idea.
Yep. So now let me just fast forward to this part around a 4-minute, 30-second mark. And let's get straight into this. Check this out.
So people get lightning quick payments. AI.
Lock you, damn commercial.
It's tracking.
Tokenization is more than just a digital representation of money and assets. It involves digital representation on a programmable platform, which means that tokens can incorporate the rules and logic governing transfers, as well as the information about the asset itself. Now, currently, money and other claims reside in separate databases that are connected through third-party messaging systems, meaning that transactions need to be reconciled separately before being settled with finality. Tokenization makes all this one seamless operation. Tokenization is well suited to resolve incentive and information problems. Think of an example where a buyer would like to pay when the goods are delivered, while the seller would like to deliver the goods when the buyer pays. Tokenization can solve this problem by executing both transactions at the same time.
So
two real-world applications.
So in other words, you have something that's called the R.F.I.D app, all right? Let's come over here. Let's type in. Right, or the R.F.I.D service, I should say. Okay. Central banking. This has gone complete digital. All right. Oops. Salakia. Now, I'm not very familiar with this particular website, but they have a video on this website where basically everything that he just broke down, they have this in a video sequence. Notice it says here, Fed now 24/7 instant payments. This is where we're headed. This is where they will cut the middleman out. There will be no more things such as uh, PayPal, Zip Pay, Afterpay, what else? Cash App. All of these things are about to be done away with. All right. And this is where they're headed. They want to completely do away, all right, with the middleman. All right. And they want to take total control of your transactions, meaning every transaction that you complete, it will be traceable. That is the whole uh that's pretty much the whole breakdown to it. This is what he's talking about, right? Now, anybody can go on to this. As I said, this is let's see what they got here. Um pardon me. Let's see. They used to have a video, but I guess I don't know if they took it off or whatever the case may be. But let me see. Fair now. Might be this one right here. Okay, what's going on here? Towers, let's skip that. Okay. Guess they don't have it. But anyway, it used to be a video and it went through it. You can see the video on YouTube. Just type in Fed Now app or Fed Now service, and then it'll show up a video. So let's exit out of that. Let's come back over here and let's continue this video.
They talk about this. They talk about this tokenization as solving these problems, right? It involves the representing the ownership rights of real world assets as digital tokens on a blockchain. In other words, you own a car, and that's confirmed because there's a digital token saying you do, and it's confirmed on the blockchain. You wouldn't need to go do title searches and all of your antiquated things like that when selling your car. It's already on the blockchain and confirmed that you own it. It's a digital certificate of authenticity. They'll sell it to us as a way to speed up the banking process, as he was just doing, as Hoi Shin was just doing. Right now, there are 10 steps in order to wire money to someone. It's long, especially if you're not using your bank. Like if you're, doing a wire from like Bank of America to PNC Bank, there are multiple steps. Each bank needs to verify that you are in fact sending the money. They need to basically send a request. So now tokenization and CBDCs would wire money that can do this in one step, one verification process instead of 10 steps. So it sounds great. That's how they will sell it to us. It's easy. It's faster. But what if government controls the blockchain? And what if the main currency is a central bank digital currency run by the Fed?
You hear what he just said? What if government controls the blockchain? Well, do we not remember? Let's go over here. Let's go to YouTube. And let's type in Pip Milgram. I'm spelling her name right. Probably spelled it wrong, but let's see here. I think it's Pippa. Blockchain. Shouldn't have had this video pulled up, but Salakia. Okay, here we go. Everybody remember Pippa Milgram and let's see what she had to say about blockchain.
What underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in '71. And so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises.
You see how she said that? Let me take that back a little bit. Far greater clarity. In other words, they will have total control over your spending and what you spend.
Every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money.
And she just threw that in there to make and see what you got to understand. This is as the scriptures speak about. Let's grab that actually. Let's get that here real quick. Let's get the book of Psalms, the 55th chapter. All right, see, you got to watch this devil, man. Psalms 55 and 21, it says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. You know, trying to implement, oh, we have to have a digital currency constitution, you know, blah, 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 right? But war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, because at the end of the day, they seek to, afflict the poor, man. Okay, by bringing in these unrighteous decrees. Okay, bringing in their enterprise, which is their new world order. All right, which ultimately is going to lead to the R.F.I.D CHIP, which is the mark of the beast. Okay, so you got to watch these devils, how they talk. Let me take this back a little bit more.
What's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. And the question is, will that new system of digital money and digital accounting accommodate the competing needs of the citizens of all these locations so that every human being has a chance to have a better life? Because that's the only measure of whether a world order really serves.
A world order. They are openly telling you what's going on. Now, mind you, this was back in 2022. And it's funny that they got Catherine Austin Fitts right here, titled Digital ID and Currency Equals Slavery. And we're going to show you, because I actually got a clip lined up of her breaking this all down back in 2020. All right. So coming back over here, let's finish this out. Let me see if I can get straight. Yeah, we'll just play this out.
And you want to use Bitcoin? You want to use Dogecoin? You want to use cash? Sorry. That's outlawed now. You can't do that. Oh, you're using this illegal currency? Sorry, you're going to jail.
And we told you that was going to see anybody messing with Bitcoin, all these other crypto. We told you once they get everything in place, you will not be able to use any of those crypto coins. You're going to have to get on their page and whatever digital currency they're going to use. Bitcoin would not be allowed in this new currency when it's all set up. We told you this was coming. Let me take this back some. See, this is the reason why Yahweh Bashem Yahushua set up the true men, the servants, the prophets, to tell you these things before they come to pass, starting with the apostles on down.
But what if government controls the blockchain? And what if the main currency is a central bank digital currency run by the Fed? And you want to use Bitcoin? You want to use Dogecoin? You want to use cash? Sorry. That's outlawed now. You can't do that. Oh, you're using this illegal currency, sorry, you're going to jail. We're already, we already see the move towards trying to get rid of digital currency that's not run by the federal government. They don't like Bitcoin. They absolutely don't like a lot of these other cryptocurrencies. Sorry, that's outlawed. You need to use America's digital currency or the EU's digital currency. That is controlled by a central power. You don't need to imagine it because it's already happening. But more importantly, it's all about the control. Buried towards the end of this report is this nugget on who would control these transactions. And again, this is why no one's covering this story, because it's nuanced and it takes time to explain this all. So you're just going to wind up one day with this thing in your wallet, a digital wallet, and no one's going to explain this to you.
Now, notice what he said, that the reason why this is not being covered is because the mainstream media, they are trying very hard to leave this out, because if they just came out with it openly and just say, hey, everybody, this is what we got going on, this is what we are planning to do to the entire population on the planet, they'll completely lose control of the narrative, which they already are, but in the sense of on a mass scale, everybody knowing that they're about to be chipped. Now, let's stop right here, because based off what he said about why isn't this covered mainstream, now we're going to turn your attention to Catherine Austin Fitts, and she's going to break down the lockstep of these international bankers introducing everything, but she's going to explain in a diagram on how they are keeping this out of the public viewing. Okay, let's listen up.
And we get to the diagrams here.
Okay. So if you look at what's going on, we have the tech people building the clouds and the telecommunications. We have the military doing space and Operation Warp Speed. So they're putting up the satellites. Okay. Then we have Big Pharma, which is making the injections that are full of these mystery ingredients and modify your DNA. And for all we know, make you
Allegedly, for YouTube algorithm, allegedly
infertile. And then we have the media pouring out the propaganda. And then we have the central bankers engineering the central bank crypto systems. So you have these different pillars, and it's very important when you look at what's going on day to day, particularly in the media. They're trying to keep them separate so that you can't see how they're going to come together in an integrated system, which is basically integrated into your body and your mind.
Did you hear what she said? Hold on, let me take that back. Woo, call halal, you see how all of this is coming together, because what Clayton stated was the fact that why is this not being spoken about? And she's literally breaking it down. Listen to what she says. Let me take it back a little bit.
Day, particularly in the media, they're trying to keep them separate so that you can't see how they're going to come together in an integrated system, which is basically integrated into your body and your mind.
And how do you think that's going to be integrated into your body and mind? How do you think they're going to bring this all together? The answer is very simple, right? But we're going to let it play.
For what purpose?
To institute the slavery system.
Bingo. To institute the slavery system, all right? Because, see, Esau wants you to bow down to the beast system. So what's one of the ways that he's going to make you take that allegiance to, bow down to the beast system? You're going to have to take something that's going to be implanted in you. Are you starting to see the bigger picture now? Are you starting to put 2 and 2 together? It's not that hard. Let's continue.
So in other words, if I am going to do everything through a smart grid, and I need to run the smart grid into your neighborhood, and then I need to run the smart grid into your body, the question is, how am I going to build it out in your neighborhood and build it out in your body without you seeing the trap?
And this is why, on a grand scale, let's get a precept real quick. Let's get Let's get 2 Thessalonians real quick. You see, man, this is why we keep telling you, and Jake doesn't want to listen. Jake doesn't want to listen. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 7. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Because keep in mind, when Apostle Paul wrote these letters, it wasn't time for this mystery to be revealed. But now we're in a time, okay, as the scripture says, let's come back here. That's the spirit. Let's get Daniel chapter 12 and 4, I believe it is, which says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. And we're at the end. How do we know we're at the end? Keep reading. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. This is how you know that we're at the end, because now we're getting the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures. The books have been opened. Okay. And those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, they're going to be able to put it all together. So let's come back over here. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 7, Salakia. It says, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. All right. Because Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is letting this devil, all right, continuing to build his enterprise, which ultimately is his new world order, which is going to lead to that R.F.I.D C-hip, the mark of the beast. It goes on to say, verse 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed. He's certainly being revealed in our time right now as we speak, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. And that's starting with us, the service, the prophets, beginning with the apostles, bishops, and elders alike on down. It says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, which represents Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. Okay. This is Satan's physical counterpart here on the planet Earth, with what? All power and signs and lying wonders. Okay. Lying wonders. What is a lying wonder? Okay. They're devices that they have imagined, which ultimately goes into their technology, where they're trying to write miracles. Okay. Because that's all this is, man. This surveillance under the skin, this implantable device that they're trying to put in everybody's skin is nothing but a lying wonder. Okay. Pseudoscience. All right. And what did Timothy teach us about pseudoscience? Let's grab that. Let's get what's that? 1 Timothy, Salakia. What am I at? 1 Timothy 6 and 20, I believe. 1 Timothy 6 and 20 says, O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called, because they're going to try to spin it to say, hey, this is the best thing you can do. You know, it's going to help you. You're going to have all of your, things that will help us to identify you, such as your social security number, your passport details, okay, your Medicare, whatever the case may be. Okay, it's all going to be on this device. And don't worry, we're going to show you. Okay, all of these things are coming out. So let's come back over here. Let's continue.
Right. So that's why you try and keep these different lines separate. So if you listen to the central bankers, they try as hard as they can to stay away from these conversations. So it was interesting. I was watching an IMF presentation on cross-border payments, and the Federal Reserve Chairman, the head of the IMF, mentioned the digital global ID system. And you would have the Federal Reserve Chairman almost blanched, and you could energetically feel him moving like a galaxy away. It's like, no, because, there are 325 million Americans, and there are more than 325 million guns. And he doesn't want everybody to see this until the trap is thrown. It's too late.
We've been put in a trap this year?
Yes. Right, but the door hasn't shut. So that's why the reason we're talking is because transparency can blow the game. It's interesting because in in the beginning of the year when I wrote the article Injection Fraud and said Bill Gates is trying to download an operating system in your body, just the way you download it in your mind, and use virus as an excuse to have to update it, to make it work for his backdoor every day. 3 months later, and then Corbett did a great series on Gates, and several people came out and sort of reaffirmed this. And it was in the fall. Yahoo Finance did published a poll saying that 44% of Republicans thought Bill Gates wanted to chip them. And I said, okay, we're making progress.
Did you hear what she just said? Let me take it back.
It's the way you download it in your mind and use virus as an excuse to have to update it, to make it work for his backdoor every day. 3 months later, and then Corbett did a great series on Gates, and several people came out and sort of reaffirmed this. And it was in the fall. Yahoo Finance did published a poll saying that 44% of Republicans thought Bill Gates wanted to chip them. And I said, okay, we're making progress. So, and that's exactly when Gates sort of disappeared and they brought out Operation Warp Speed because they needed, and interestingly enough, the person they chose to run Operation Warp Speed was an expert on injectable brain-machine interface.
Did you hear that? Injectable brain interface. And who is at the forefront leading the first trials? None other than your boy, Elon Musk. Now you can now let's get another precept. Now you can this precept is starting to come out more and more now. Revelation 12, when she talk about operational warp speed. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth. Woe meaning destruction. And of the sea, for the devil, who is Esau Edom, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because what? He knoweth that he hath but a short time. You see? He knoweth that he hath but a short time. That's why she said they had to immediately take Bill Gates out of the picture. That's why after that whole stunt with the pandemic, all right, notice after 2021, he kind of just faded out and you didn't really see him anymore after that. Then they brought in operational warp speed. You see, they trying to put all the pieces together, man, because their time is running out, right? So let's come back over here.
He used to head research at GlaxoSmithKline, and he's a brain machine interface expert.
It's a creepy resume for that job, huh?
It's a perfect resume for that job. Here's one of the most important developments that happened in 2019, in addition to the approval of the going direct plan by the central bankers in Jackson Hole, was the issuance by the Department of Defense of the Jedi Cloud contract to Microsoft. So you had Amazon receive. Amazon is essentially a CIA and intelligence agency contractor.
Woo! Did you hear what she just said? Amazon. Your boy Jeff Bezos. I think that's the actual CEO, but nevertheless,
they started generating profit when they entered into major contracts with the CIA to provide the clouds not only for the CIA but all 17 U.S. intelligence agencies through that umbrella cloud contract. So you now have Amazon running the intelligence agencies contract. This year, Leidos did a big contract, or at the end of 2019, Leidos did a big contract with the Navy, and then DoD did the Jedi contract. And so those three huge cloud contracts give you the ability, once you get everybody hooked up into them, to radically re-engineer how the cash flows work. So you can literally shut down all small business, or almost all small business, put everybody on a universal basic income, which is basically a control system, and run it all through the military clouds.
Now let's hold that. We're gonna come back over here, right? Now that we got that understanding, let's continue with this video.
In this report, buried deep in this, like 40 pages deep, I stumbled across this, the governance section. of a unified ledger could follow existing arrangements whereby central banks and regulated private participants take part in governance under established rules. For example, when money and payments are involved in a ledger, the central bank will necessarily play a role as the provider of the ultimate settlement asset. Its specific involvement in governance arrangements could take various forms, much as it does in the case of traditional payment systems, where public ownership, regulation, and oversight, as well as private mutual ownership, are viable options.
But wait a minute. I thought Pippa Malmgren. Okay. What does she say? What does she lie about? Hold on. Let's take it back. What does she say? Digital constitution rights. It sounded good, right? Oh yeah, Salakia, I didn't even share the screen. It sounded good. Let me take that back.
Greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. And the question is, will that new system of digital money and digital accounting accommodate the competing needs of the citizens of all these locations so that every human being has a chance to have a better life?
You see how they spin it? How can you have a better life when you're being surveillanced? You're being watched by your every spending, habits, or however you want to put it. How? This is why the scripture says, never trust thine enemy. Right? So let's come back over here to Clayton.
So in other words, the Fed will play a necessary role as the provider and the ultimate settlement decider in these transactions. So the central bank, of course, will control these transactions. And it means that it represents trillions of dollars in potential transactions of these governments. They stand to make a lot of money. And according to the report released just recently by the Global Financial Markets Association, this is the Boston Consulting Group and others, estimate as part of this report, look here on your screen, the value of tokenized illiquid assets will increase from roughly 0.3 trillion in 2022 to $16 trillion in transactions by 2030. That in 7 more years, we will jump up by almost $15.5 trillion in additional settlements.
Now, let's fast forward this. Well, actually, he's going to go right into it. Now, watch this.
Richard Werner is an economist who is a World Economic Forum insider. Think of him as a whistleblower.
World Economic Forum. Matter of fact, let's get the precept. Let's get the precept. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 64, right before he speaks. Whistleblower. Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Let's get it.
Against these globalists. He was chosen by Klaus Schwab at the time as a global leader. Here he explains how the CBDC, or central bank digital currency, will start off on our phones as an app, but then move to something far more nefarious, an implant.
That's why I stated the Fed Now app. That's why he said started in our phones, but then it's going to move to what? Let me take this back a little bit.
As a whistleblower against these globalists. He was chosen by Klaus Schwab at the time as a global leader. Here he explains how the CBDC, or central bank digital currency, will start off on our phones as an app, but then move to something far more nefarious, an implant in your hand. Yes, a chip in your hand. Listen.
Oh, but I thought according to IUIC, it's June. Ain't no microchip. right? Well, let's see what the insider from the World Economic Forum Committee has to say.
And what people don't mention is, what do these CBDCs actually look like? You know, at the moment, there's a bit of talk about this being phone-based apps. And yes, that is the initial phase. But what was already ready around 2015 is the ultimate goal. What they really want, apparently, I was told by a central banker, is, CBDCs looks like a small grain of rice that they want to put under your skin. Which is, in my view, a violation of human dignity. And they realize there is a hurdle. So to get people to accept this, there will be, why suddenly all the billionaires saying, let's have universal basic income? Because the story is going to be, now we've created this vast unemployment and disruption and crises. Well, we need universal basic income. You will get 2,000 euros into your account every month. But of course, to run this efficiently, we need to use the latest technology. So, you need the CBDC chip implant.
Okay.
Now, as the scriptures goes on to say, all right, in the eyes of 2 or 3 witnesses, that's witness number 1. Okay, that's around 2024. Let's go back some years ago by a former Hollywood producer by the name of Aaron Russo, who passed away, who did an interview before his passing with none other than what's the guy's name? Alex Jones. Right? Now, you just heard the whistleblower from the World Economic Forum Committee. Let's turn your attentions to the guy, Aaron Russo, who was friends with the Nick Rockefeller, and let's see what Nick Rockefeller told him about this same technology years ago.
So the ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one world government run by the banking industry, run by the bankers, and they're doing it in sections. The European currency, the euro, and the European Constitution is one part of it. Now they're trying to do it in America with the North American Union, right? And they want to create a new currency called the M0TB, right? And the whole agenda is to create a one world government where everybody has an R.F.I.D chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. And this is getting me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And all money will be in your chips. And so instead of having cash, anytime you have money in your chip, they can take out whatever they want to take out whenever they want to. If they say you owe us this much money in taxes, they just deduct it out of your chip digitally.
Total control.
Total control. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip. And you have nothing. You can't buy food. You can't do anything. It's total control of the people.
And that chip's connected to a database that has your purchasing records, what you do.
Everything is in there, And so they want a one world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips and they control people. And you become a slave. You become a serf to these people. That's their goal. That's their intention.
There you go. You heard it from his. So that's 2 witnesses. That's 2 witnesses telling you the same thing. This interview was done years ago. But we're not the true men of the Lord. We don't have it. Oh, the mark of the beast, that's just a spiritual thing. No, it's a physical thing, buddy. We've been telling you. Let's finish this out, man.
So you get this universal basic income.
Right. That's the carrot.
You can't actually then make any more than that. That will be like, you have to have what everybody has. Then.
Well, that's the whole point of why they call it communism, because everybody is on the same pay rate. Okay. That's basically what it boils down to.
I mean, I don't know if you make more money than that, or you probably have to qualify at a certain threshold, but would you be willing to go along with, this is the question, and it's going to work.
I guess
There's
that's
be
my
so many
extrapolation people. Is like, the scary part is this becomes the Hunger Games you just get your portion, right? And then you have no rights to anything above that.
And I think when, like we talked about it before, is like it's going to target the poorest people because they're the ones that are going to be wanting to get on board with this because it's going to make life easier for them. It's like,
and that's his bingo. This is why Yahweh Shai said what he said. You know, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Let's grab that, man. See, this is the time. If you're not using your grace period, all right, to build up your spirit, you're going to fall victim. That precept real quick. Matthew 26:41. It says, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Because Esau, he's a carnal man. He doesn't operate in the spirit. So a carnal man is going to come at you with carnal means. He knows that. Matter of fact, let's do this here. Let's get the precept in the Apocrypha real quick. KJV 1611, and let's go to the book of Sirach, better known as Ecclesiasticus. I'm gonna go to chapter 39, and I'm gonna start somewhere around, let's see, somewhere around verse 25 through 27. It says, for the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, in the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. Because at the end of the day, when it all comes down to it, is you will not be able to have use for any of these things, okay, unless you take part in this digital society. And Esau is going to turn these things, okay, as a way to play with your life, to say, well, hey, if you want the finer things, okay, is what's going to keep you stable in this society, you're going to have to get down or you're going to lay down. Which brings me to this precept. Now that we got that understanding, let's get Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10. Because this is coming to a global scale, man. Revelation 3 and 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, right? Because you've kept this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you were patient, as it says in Luke 21 and 19, all right? In your patience possess ye your souls. It says, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. So if you endure all the way up into the end, okay, and you are found written in the book of life, you're a part of the elect, all right, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to cover you. He's going to keep you from this hour of temptation, which is what? The R.F.I.D hip, the mark of the beast. It says, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So everybody is going to be tested. Once again, Mark the 20, Salakia, Matthew the 26th chapter, watch and pray. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Everybody's going to go through this hour of temptation. And when you go into that word world in the Greek is oinkimene, which represents every single person on the planet Earth, man. There's no getting out of it. Let's come back over here.
you get this stipend plus your income, and this is going to make it easier for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think this is going to work. And this is how they will get people. We will put you on a universal basic income, and you will be given a certain set of parameters how you can use this income. And by the way, you're going to have to get a chip in your hand for tracking. That's how you will access it, right? And additionally, you will then you will be capped at certain purchases. Your carbon footprint will be tracked. What are you buying? Where are you going?
Now you understand why everything is going digital. You see? This is what the apostles on down has been telling us, and we are telling you now. Because there's only so there's only so much time left before Yahweh Shema Shah closes the door of mercy, man. If you don't have this truth, you're going to be asked out. If you can't see it with the information that I have brought out here tonight, which is clear as day, I don't know what else to tell you.
And the idea, of course, that, oh, this is only for purchases. We won't be able to track your physical location, your whereabouts. Really? Communication, how is it being tracked? Is it Bluetooth, near field communication? I just walk up and tap it against any kind of like a soda machine. We've already seen them rolling it out at different grocery stores. We see people in Sweden are jumping on board with this, wanting to use this on a regular basis. So there's people already electing to use this, wanting to use this. And they'll do this with the promise of basic income, $2,000 a month. Would you do it?
Think about the let's take a minute to analyze something. Think about what's happened or what's transpired within the last 72, almost 96 hours, dealing with the whole outage of AT&T, all right, pharmacy, okay, not basically being a problem with the infrastructure being attacked. Now, they've recently come out and says that it was it was no terrorist attack. It was just a wrong human error of an upgrade, which is BS. Okay, because they controlled that BS, man. They had the writing was on the wall. I'll just say that the writing was on the wall, and they told on themselves because the FBI had put out a statement 2 days prior to the event happening across the nation that they were on the lookout for Chinese hackers, okay, infiltrating America's infrastructure, man. And then lo and behold, 48 hours later, you have outages across the 50 states. Okay, which was a false flag event to test so that when the real cyber attack happens, guess what? They send everybody into a pandemonium. Okay, the banks will go down. All right. More than likely, this will probably happen on a Friday. So, you don't have anything. You can't do anything on a weekend. Okay. They may leave it up until Monday morning, or worse, they may leave it up to a week. So there's going to be pandemonium, man. You won't be able to access your cash or whatever. And then once they have everybody in a chaotic state, pandemonium, guess what? Here comes Esau to the rescue. Aha, we have the solution. We're going to reset everything. And here's the deal. We're going to give you this universal basic income. But, oh, by the way, it comes with this R.F.I.D CHIP. This is the solution to a better planet. You see how they're going to spin it, man? And this is why the Bible says, let's get 2 Corinthians. All right. Chapter 2 and verse 11. Which says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Let's read that in a different translation. All right. NLT, so that Satan will not outsmart us, for we are familiar with his evil schemes. Okay. Because this devil is cunning. He is very crafty. That's Esau's whole model, man. But see, thank Yahweh Shema Shai and the Rakakwadash, the Holy Spirit, because as the scripture says, if it be possible, he shall deceive the very elect, but the elect cannot be deceived. Right? So let's get ready to close out. Now let's go to Revelation, the 13th chapter, and let's put it all together. Okay, we should know this now. We should know this breakdown now. Revelation 13 and 16. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, as a means to say, no matter what your status is within this society, okay, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, we always go into the importance of looking up your words, because we understand that the Bible has been translated originally from the Hebrew tongue and from the Greek tongue. And also sometimes you might have to go into the Latin Vulgate. So when you go into the concordance of the word mark, you have here the Greek word charagma, which simply means a stamp and an imprinted mark. All right. It says of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist, the mark branded upon horses, a thing carved, sculpture, graven work. But down here it says in the Strong's Concordance, all right, or the Strong's definition, a scratch or etching. And an example, a stamp as a badge of servitude. Remember, they talked about the digital currency being equals slavery, or sculpture, figure, statue, graving, mark. Now, what's interesting is, let's come over here to the etymology. When you type in the word etching, okay, 1630s verbal noun from etch, also the art of engraving. What does it mean to engrave? Let's type that in. Learn how to look up your words. Okay, which means engrave, to cut in, make by incision. Okay, so that word mark, charagma, goes to an imprinted mark, a graven image, which means ultimately to cut in or make by an incision. So something is going to be cut into you. Okay, this is what you have to understand. This is very simple. Now, coming back over here, all right, let's go to the root word. Okay, etymology means the origin or the root word of a particular word, which takes us back to the word karax. Okay, the word karax, which ultimately to sharpen to a point. Okay, through the idea of scratching. Okay, now it says here a pale or a stake, a palisade. All right, and when you go deeper into this, ultimately, this is a representation of a sort of tool that they're going to use in order to cut into, to insert that implantable device underneath your skin. Okay, when you go into the word, let's come over here. See if they have it. Scratch. It says here, scratch, a mark or wound. All right, Salaki, let me share the screen. It says here, scratch, a mark or wound slightly on the surface by a scraping or tearing action with something rough, sharp, or pointed. That goes back to the word karax, proving that there has to be something to cut through or insert within your skin. Now, we understand, even when you go back to the law, all right, let's come over here before we get the next preset. Let's go to Leviticus. I believe it's the 19th chapter. And let's see here. Leviticus. Right, Leviticus 19:28. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh. All right, now the word we want here is cuttings. All right.
Strong's H8296, Seret, and second entry, Sareteth.
Right. It says in an incision, cut. All right. So you're not supposed to be cutting in your flesh. You're not supposed to incise anything within your flesh. It goes back to the law. Now, let's come back over here. Let's finish it out. Revelation 13. We left off at 16. Continue reading on. Verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the charagma, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now, ultimately, when you go into this word, 666, okay, as you can see over here, you have the word chi psi stigma, all right? And when you come down here in the Strong's definition, an obsolete letter from Strong's G 4742 as a cross, which let's click on that. And it takes us to the Greek stigma, okay, root word from a primary stitzo, to stick, i.e. prick, right? And it says here in the outline biblical usage, a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belonged to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their gods. As we can scroll here, Strong's definition says stitzo, to stick, i.e. prick, a mark incised or punched for recognition of ownership. And this is ultimately what Esau wants to do to everyone. Okay, an example, figuratively, scar of service, mark. So it's pretty clear on what it is that they're going to try to do to the population. Now, to end it off, I have here a little bit of commentary from a biblical scholar by the name of John Brown, and this is what he had to say on Revelation 13, verses 16 through 18. Number 2 text, I don't think that it was coincidence that when I came into the office this week, there was a tape on my desk from Firefighters for Christ by a doctor called Sanders. And Dr. Sanders hold a PhD in electronics and engineering and was the chief engineer responsible for the design and development of a microchip that is so small it can be injected under the skin with a hypodermic needle. This chip was originally developed for the purpose of repairing severe spinal cords so that people would be able to walk again. Hence Elon Musk, the Neuralink. Think about that. It says there were over 100 people involved in this project, of which Dr. Sanders was senior engineer in charge. It is important to understand that the people involved in the creation of this chip had no idea that it would become all that it has. They all believed they were doing it for very humanitarian reasons. The investors in this project determined that spinal repairs alone were not sufficient to give a proper return on their investments, so they began to look at other possibilities. And they found that because of the electrical impulse produced by the chip, that it altered certain behaviors. This is the reason why you see certain Hollywood stars, Hollyweird, okay, such as the likes of Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, other music celebrities such as Lady Gaga, Eminem. All right, they all had glitches. Okay, why do they have glitches? Because you had something that was called MK Ultra, but they would drug them with LSD and also put what they call a microchip into them. Okay, and if you don't believe me, look up Bernie Mac's alleged passing. Okay, it was said allegedly for, I'm just saying allegedly for YouTube algorithm, when he was in the hospital sick, supposedly dying on his dying bed or with the pneumonia. It wasn't the fact that he had pneumonia. It was the fact that they sent in a handler dressed up as a janitor cleaning the floors in the hospital. And because his wife was getting too much information from him, because he was trying to tell his wife what was going on, the janitor had a little remote control that sends a signal to the chip that was implanted into him, raising up the radiation. That's how he got sick and passed away, allegedly. Do your research. The videos are out there telling the truth about how he actually really passed. But nevertheless, it goes on to say, for instance, when placed in the pituitary gland of a female, it will put her immediately into menopause. The ability to conceive was immediately halted. This had already been tested in India. They also found that certain frequencies, see that, would produce increased amount of adrenaline. This was called Rambo chip, and it has been tested with Vietnam veterans, Slovakia. As they began to research other marketing possibilities, they discovered that one of the major problems was making people aware of their product and then getting them to accept it. Do you not understand what's going on? How much information do we need to bring out to show you that this is what it is? This is the time that we're living in. Because this is, and as that whistleblower from the World Economic Forum Committee, this is what he stated. He said the problem is getting everybody on board to accept it. Right? It says, number 2, Dr. Sanders was at the meeting where they decided to put the pictures of the lost children on paper bags and milk cartons in an effort to make people aware that there was a need for keeping track of locating missing children. Salakia. As well as Alzheimer's patients. These meetings were held in Luxembourg, in London, and Brussels, and many right in San Francisco. The identification and control of people were discussed as if they were cattle. Kissinger, all right, who actually passed away, I think it was last year sometime. One of you brothers can correct me if I'm wrong. And representatives of the CIA, automatic red flag, were present in these meetings. Now watch this. B, Revelation 13-16. He calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to Salakia, free and slave, in a New King James Version, to receive a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. Now they have here, which should be Strong's G 5480, charagma, a thing carved, sculpture, graving work, which we went into this, and karax, which is the root etymology word of charagma, which ultimately means to sharpen to a point through the idea of scratching. This sounds like a lot. This sounds a lot like a hypodermic needle piercing the skin, and that's exactly what it is. That is the actual tool that is going to be needed in order to insert that implantable device. If you remember last week, we point out that the number 666 had a name, and that name was Chi Psi Stigma. Okay, which Strong's G 4742, stigma from stitzo means to stick or prick, a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. One of the Webster's dictionary definitions calls stigma a small spot, scar, or opening on a plant or animal. In the readout of this microchip, there were 9 levels of information that the designers wanted included. They were name, an image or picture of your face. They also wanted social security numbers with the extra international digits. A fingerprint identification was also to be included. Physical description, family history, address, criminal record, occupation, income tax information, character, and an expression, the exact expression, the image of any person or thing, marked likeness, precise reproduction in every respect. This microchip has exactly that in an express image of its recipient. Think about movies like Minority Report or TV shows like Black Mirror, just to name a couple. Okay. See, Esau deals with what we call gradualism, right? It says, recently, under the new healthcare program, they are talking about the womb to tomb positive identification. There are bills before Congress right now and others that have been passed that will allow a microchip of identification to be injected into your child at the time of birth. The president was given this authority and control under the Immigration Act, Section 100 in 1986. Now, you know what's interesting is, remember Joe Biden, when he was a senator, what did he say about a particular judge that was going to rule on this matter? Let's get the video.
And we'll be faced with equally consequential decisions in the 21st century. Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? There's actual discussion about that. You will rule on that, mark my words, before your tenure is over. Can brain scans be used to determine whether a person is inclined toward criminality or violent behavior? You will rule on that.
And there you have it. Good old sleepy Joe Biden. Right? So, there you have it, man. And, of course, we'll read this, Revelation 16:2. So the first went and poured out his bowel upon the earth, and a foul and loathsome sword came upon the men who had the mark of the beast and those who worship his image. When you go into that loathsome sword or a grievous sore, when you read in the KJV version, basically it goes into a cancerous sore. All right. And the proof is, let's read it. This microchip is powered by a tiny lithium battery, which was a recharging circuit built in. And this charging system operates and is regulated by the changes in the body temperatures. Dr. Sanders says that they spent $1.5 million on research to determine an optimal primary and secondary place in the body for this chip. The data that returned said that there were two placed in the human body that the temperature changes most rapidly. They were, number one, the forehead, just below the hairline. Hence, Elon Musk and his Neuralink. Look it up. And number two, the back of the hand. Dr. Sanders talked to a doctor at Boston Medical Center and asked what would happen with that concentration of lithium if the chip should fail. The doctor told him that you would get a grievous sore. Note that in Revelation 16:2, it says sore, not sores in the plural. They were not all over the body, but in one location. It is possible that when the Lord sends this angel out, that all the lithium batteries will fail at the same time? Question mark. Dr. Sanders pointed out that there were some breakdowns of the Rambo chip, and they indeed did cause a boil-like grievous sore. That's why the beloved Elder Apostle Tahar, whenever he went into the breakdown of Revelation, the 16th chapter, he always spoke about that grievous sore, which ultimately, when you look it up, it goes into having a cancerous boil. All right. In other words, the Lord is going to jack you up if you take it. That's why it tells you in Revelation, the 14th chapter, that anybody who takes it shall drink of the cup of the wrath poured out with his indignation, roughly paraphrasing. Okay. So it says these chips are not secret. Their diagram description has been published in newspapers. The clinical insertion of the chip has been demonstrated on TV. And pretty much it just goes on and on about, where it's been publicized that, right? So, coming back over here, that's pretty much it, man. That's the lesson going into this. And, ultimately, as we stated, that this is the times that we're in. All right. We are to measure the time diligently within the self as we see the signs of the, of the past, as was foretold, come to pass right before our very eyes, man. All right. This is how we determine how close we are at the end of this thing. So I want to leave you, sincere brothers and sisters, on a couple of precepts. Let's get the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And this is us upon our watch as we look out for these things, the information that we stumble across, the videos, the news, the resources, and we bring it all together to cross-reference it to the prophecies, man. It says, verse 2, and Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, which the tables represents these scriptures, that he may run that readeth it. Remember, Revelation 1:3 said, blessed is the man that readeth. Verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. This is another way on how you can tell we're at the end. And it not only shall speak, but it shall not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it. Yeah, because it's taking this, though it may seem like it's taking a sweet ass time, wait for it. Why? Because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Okay. You see the times, man, that we're in. All right. And we'll end it off on this last precept here in Ezekiel 33. Okay. Ezekiel 33 and 33. It says, and when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet had been among them. You gonna know. Okay. You're going to know that beginning with the apostles, bishops, and elders from Great Millstone on down were right through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim El-Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. So with that, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors once again to the beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David. I'm your brother Matazaba. Lord's will, this lesson was very edifying. It's on to the next. Lord's will. Shalom.